Lesson 3. Using DQCsys Client Plot Functions. DQCsys Client Plot. In this lesson, we will review the information that is available when we plot the data, and that includes plot information window, recipe filters. Please note that the recipe designation has been configured as project in this example. We will also review alarm log, plotted charts, histogram, specification, process calculations, and then we will edit specification and replot data. Our DQCsys client has already been started. First, we need to extract the data by clicking on Setup. Our server path is green, indicating that we have successfully connected to it. Let's leave our profile and process set to default. Let's also have our parameter filter disabled, but let's enable our time date filter. Let's leave our start date and finish date set to default, and let's search for the data. We found 1,661 samples. Let's extract the data. Once the data is extracted, we can plot it by pressing Plot button. And we have successfully plotted our data. Plot information. Plot information window includes DQCsys Operator station information from which we are getting the data, and that is division name, factory name, machine serial number, and also the name of the process that we have just plotted. We also have a start date for our first sample and finish date for our last sample that we found. And we also have number of samples that we have extracted and analyzed. Project filters. To expand the project filter window, please click on plus. When our data that we have extracted from the server includes information for more than one project, we can use filters to filter the data. We can also use our custom recipe fields to filter the data that we need. Let's use our project filter and set it to test 3. And let's filter the data. And now we have 542 samples for our project test 3. Alarm log. Alarm log shows the alarms that we found when the data was analyzed. Each alarm is signified by severity color. We can click on the alarm and our moving range chart and range chart will align itself to where the alarm is. Please also note that alarm log color indication is disabled by default, but it can be enabled by checking the box that is beside it. The main chart. When our sample per point is set to 1, our main chart is labeled as moving range chart. If our sample per point is set to more than 1, our chart is labeled as X-bar chart. We can use the scroll bar to scroll to the data of our interest, but we can also change the y-axis numbers or x-axis numbers to expand the view of our data points. Let's change our x-axis to 0. Range chart. We can also use our scroll bar to scroll through the data on our range chart. We can also change the x-axis and y-axis to change the span of our data view. Let's change our range x-axis starting point to 0. Histogram. Histogram is plotted for all data that we receive from our server based on our search criteria. We also have statistical information that is computed based on all data that we receive from the server, and that includes process mean, upper natural limit, lower natural limit, CP, CPK, standard deviation, and parts per million. We can also see our main specification and range chart specification. We can edit that specification to replot our data by pressing Edit button. And let's change our upper spec to 51.5 and our lower spec to 48.5. And let's replot the data. And the replotting has been completed, and all our charts, specification data, and alarm logs have been updated based on that new specification that we just entered. And that concludes our lesson.